info that's leaked out over the gosh 100 years or whatever. You know what I mean?
It's
But
interesting too because he's also changed his the architectural firm that he's using. Oh God, I forget their name now. They're a sort of Jewish firm, and they work primarily on synagogue renovations and construction, new builds. So it's funny because the 90,000 square, I think it's 90,000 feet squared. In fact, it'll be even larger, this Baal room or ballroom, than that of the 55,000 feet squared main White House building. And anyway, but that's just the above ground component.
Silas.
There's a below ground component as well. But
Oh
it's
yeah.
all
Oh
mapped out
Silas.
around. Yeah, jump
I'm
in.
sorry. I have to interrupt. You're right with the measurements and the beneath. They literally they broadcasted this talking about the third temple or whatever, or building the third temple.
Yeah.
And this is them talking to the news. This is Trump and them talking immediate. That's what I'm saying. They immediately turned it to this ballroom, and they literally said out in the open something related to, hey, the building the third temple is like a big deal to us. You're like, oh, come on, man. So go ahead, please continue. I didn't mean to be rude, but you reminded me all these measurements, and of course the deep down, yeah. MB they've been sharing that info as well. So yeah, please continue, Silas. You just I just got excited for a second. Sorry.
It's definitely, it's based upon the Solomonic Temple, and it's very eerily similar to the planned layout. Well, it's not really a planned layout, but the planned layout that you can sort of build based upon the descriptions, both within Kabbalah and of course within the Torah proper. But that's what I think this is. See, I'm in two minds. Of course, I've been speaking with Eros about all of this too, with the plasma entities. Now, the plasma entities, it's a very interesting and intriguing, to me at least, model of explication, because I've been looking through these sort of perennial myths regarding this Lord of the Earth or Lord of this world character, and whenever he crops up, he'll be associated with the color black, or with smoke, or with some sort of paradoxical smokeless fire, or the mirror smoke. I mean, it's
the mist.
These descriptions exactly.
And you're again, sorry, I'll get out of the way. But you're tapping in, Chris. He's tapping in a little bit to something, a weave that I had planned.
Oh, really?
To the Arabic MZR, miser, Missouri. So you mentioned it just sounds like that, but continue, Silas. I'm sorry, bro. I love what you're saying right now.
Well, and right before you start, Silas, it's like the electromagnetic changeover event that it's all kind of tying into, right? Like the MCO, which has been around for a while.
Yes, well, they're preempting. I think they're preempting a lot of things here, and this is why what we're seeing sort of building up to this event, with the death of the plasma scientists, quote unquote, the ufologists. You had David Wilcox die a week prior to this event, and then of course you've got the Henry Martinez, this alternative reality game, which is utilized by intelligence agencies to what's called flood the zone. So what they're doing is effectively, the system has become so totalizing that it has commodified its own critique. And so fundamentally, it actually creates the rabbit holes. The rabbit holes are like the toroidal fields. And what are toroids? Well, the toroidal field effectively is the simulation, be it digital or transdimensional or whatever it may be, right? And ultimately, it creates an enclosed system. Again, an economic machine that just continually recycles its own engagement, an economy of signs representing signs, ad infinitum, right? Like the
Yeah.
Ouroboros. And
Exactly.
they do this through what's called transmedia storytelling.
Yep.
And that means that the narrative is spread through multiple avenues, right? Even, again, bringing people down into rabbit holes. They'll then spin that off into other rabbit holes. So this is how they also control us, right? But that is something I think they're seeding into the zeitgeist right now. This whole plasma thing. Now, don't
Oh,
get me
yeah.
wrong. It is. I am exploring it with Eros because I find it interesting. It ties in.
I mean,
Again,
there's something there. Like, I mean, there's definitely people on
Yeah.
NDAs, and there's something to this science. But like, what is the woman's name? The girl who apparently died. That they keep Monica Reza, right?
Monica Reza.
Wait,
I'm
no, not Reza. Who's the dark-haired girl who? I think Monica Reza is one of the disappeared scientists, but the one they keep showing.
Oh yes, and yeah, she was mentioned about the ultra-terrestrials. I forget. her
Yeah,
name
yeah,
now,
okay.
man.
I don't know. I'm not sure if that's Reza or if that's a different. There's a few different ones, but I'm talking about specifically the one who sounds a little tipsy in that last video because she was a little tipsy. I don't think they intended on releasing it, or so they say. But
and Chris, I may be a victim of that narrative being ramped up. I never talk plasma. I don't believe in plasma, but I seem to have indirectly mentioned it earlier, which is not natural. So I may be a victim of their extra. And the plasma talk's been around forever, but it does seem like that's the alternative idea. Controlled alternative idea is like plasma coming out. So Chris, I'm not an NPC, yo. I got a soul, dog. But I may have been manipulated a bit by headlines of people yapping about plasma lately. Please
Oh no,
continue.
we all have, man. Even myself. I mean, I've just read that Joseph P. Farrell book, of course, on recommendation by Eros, and I do think there's something there. It's
yeah,
just
there's definitely something there.
it's being spun out in a certain way. It was similar, of course, back in the day when they were talking about Well, actually, I remember I was on BitChute at the time, and I sort of preempted it all. I don't know how I stumbled across it, but I I stumbled across it based on cybernetics, and
Yep.
I sort of started reading Norbert Wiener's work, John von Neumann, even a bit of game theory, and tying this all together. Then I figured out, they're actually trying to create these artificial sense organs that Norbert Wiener was speaking about and theorizing about in the 40s and the 50s. And basically, these artificial sense organs are effectively the implantable biodigitally converging technologies that would facilitate the eventual Internet of all things, right? I mean, so I started looking into this. I was producing videos on it, and I got pretty much shadow banned from BitChute. I went from thousands of views down to a few hundred, and I realized, oh God, I've touched upon something. And then maybe a month later, everyone started coming out about how the needlecraft was, linked to an IP address. It was So what I realized was it wasn't necessarily what I was saying. It's because they have to control the narrative from the outset. The thing might be true, but they have to direct it. So again, it's the critique may be true, but it's the way that they direct it that turns it into a lie, right?
Yeah.
And
Amy Eskridge is the one, is
Amy
the
Eskridge,
scientist
yeah.
who's been showing up everywhere. The one talking about the P57s, or the two different timelines, which is something that's been around forever since that old alien video was apparently quote unquote leaked, where by Vincent, that old footage of the gray alien who's being treated by the DNI, the Department of Naval Intelligence, apparently, and they're like patting its mouth, trying to keep it from, I guess, spitting up because it's sick. Do you guys remember seeing this video back in the day? It's the most famous, the interrogation video, apparently. that the ex-cop is going around to all those podcasts now trying to claim he thinks it's real. But she was talking about all the people in the UFO scene now. She believed it, and she was talking the same stuff David Wilcock was talking. David Wilcock, we know, is a known con man.
Shill. Yo, he's a shill.
Yeah,
So,
known con man, known shill. So they're going to give us a version of plasma science that isn't real. Whatever they're going to give you. It's not what it actually is.
And the way
what's funny is there's some people talking about David Wilcock this week, like, what a great truth revealer hero. And it's like, yo, you don't know this cat's an asset shill? Like, that's been known for a long time. But anyway, real quick, Silas, hold that thought, because I know you're gonna spit some fire brilliance. Yo, we need Armun Ree. Armun needs to come on here. I think he would thrive over here, dog.
Armun's the man.
I could tell. Oh, when I checked out his channel, he mentioned, because we were talking about I was talking about Hapan, right? And it being Moshe, Mexico, right? Or Michigan, Moshe Khan. But Hapan being Mayan, a very well, it's out in the open. It's not hidden info, Hapan and all that. So anyway, got to Japan. I listened to his vid on Japan. It was hard for me to follow because the guy only spoke Japanese, and it wasn't like able to share a deep dive, kind of like what's happening here. So he should come on the show. He sounds dope. But and then
Silas could hook you up with that. I mean, I have Armun's contact info too. I could send it to you.
Yeah,
Armun's got some really fascinating ideas, especially surrounding this notion of blueprints.
Everyone share your MAC addresses.
On this.
Put your MAC addresses in the chat. So everyone paste your MAC address in the chat so we can all stay connected later. Go ahead, Silas. I'm good, please.
What were you saying about blueprints, Silas?
Well, blueprints. He has this notion that effectively the blueprint is how could I describe it? It's a sort of historical laid out historical script that is written retroactively. So, for example, he states that Jerusalem is actually a blueprint. It's a script. It's a sort of hyper object that's utilized within each given epochal cycle. Armin also subscribes to the notion that these cycles, or these resets rather, occur maybe every 200 years. And the reason he says that is, as opposed to, say, my theory surrounding longer term cycles, at least the longer term grand cycles, is that it's easier to control shorter term resets in terms of scripting them and in terms of putting into effect the blueprint. It
would probably depend what you would consider a reset and how big and how small. I could see smaller ones happening every 200 years. It seems like things rapidly change every few hundred years, and people forget a lot. Like once you're 3 generations past, the third generation is basically clueless as to what happened 2 or 3 generations before it. But I don't know if cataclysmic changes are the reason for that or not, but something happens.
And Chris, especially when that first generation, some of them go, wait a minute, what? That's not how it is. And they get sent to insane asylums and lobotomized. And then, of course, the second and third generation are going to be like, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, and is today Beltane, by the way? May 1st?
Well, it's May Day.
Or May Day, but today I think is Beltane?
Yeah, I think it's Valpurgis night as well. Or when's
Okay,
that?
so there's a lot going on tonight. So shout out Machete
Yeah,
and check
Valpurgis.
out Silas. Check
It's
Silas.
it's the Illuminati Day, right?
Big deal. Yeah. Anyway, Chris,
But Silas, yeah, my bad. I was interrupting him. So go ahead, Silas.
No, guys, no, it's absolutely okay. I'm just reading a few things here, in the chat and what have you. No, yeah, yeah. Well, think about it as well. So I sort of touched upon this really, and I discovered this interesting thing while I was writing my first book, and that is after 150 years, living memory basically fades away, and
Mhm.
it's quite easy. I mean, extremely. It actually would scare you how easy it is to fundamentally change a civilization and a cultural direction, and to make people believe lies about history that are and sort of breathe life into them as though they're truth.
and this is my jam, Silas. This is my jam. What you're talking about?
This
That's
is
why I
what's
question everything, bro.
this-
All this, yeah, all the sacred texts. Oh, that's Silas. This is what I'm all about, bro.
this is what Steiner was always saying, that you can't really trust anything past 100 years.
There was something that Armin mentioned really recently, and it was really quite fascinating. I have it somewhere on the Discord, but it was to do with Hollywood. And hold on, if I can try and find this. Sorry, guys, 2 seconds.
Oh, you're good.
Chris,
here.
Chris, am I doing okay? Because I'm not trying to interrupt these awesome.
Yeah, I love the excitement, bro. You're great.
No, I know, because you guys both touch on stuff, and I'm like, yo, oh snap! It awakens something. So, okay, cool. I'm cool. I'm all right.
Of course,
Yeah,
bro.
man. Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah, he mentioned this, that just realized that one of the key historical figures that proposed the globe Earth was supposedly named Sacro Bosco, which literally translates to English as Hollywood or Holywood. So I guess Hollywood reality script writing is retroactively legitimized way into the backstory. Armin has a book. In fact, it's free. It's I actually can't remember the name of it now. He's probably going to shoot me for that. Oh, here it is. No, Man's Psyche, The Two Worlds, Armin Rai. I actually did an audiobook of it as well. It's on my channel, but the book's there as well in the description of that video if anyone wants to read it. And he goes into these ideas regarding blueprints and reality script writing. I mean, very, very deep. And he explores man's psyche and how man's psyche itself almost facilitates this type of vulnerability being exploited by the ruling class.
Yeah, this is very much in line with Alan Watt, not Alan Watts with an S, Alan Watt, no S, his work. The Irishman, Alan Watt, right? I believe he was Irish or Scottish.
No, Scottish.
Scottish. I believe I'm talking to his widow next week, so like I have to get that right. Thank you for reminding me. Scottish. So, because she reached out to me after I emailed her like 2 years ago.
Yeah, he spent a lot of time in Canada. I think he moved over there.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Early.
He was awesome.
He was. Yeah, that's the first guy I started listening to.
You remind me of him when you talk. That's why it's for some reason I've always correlated you guys together.
He hails just from down the road from me.
That's probably that's
Stirling. So
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, he's not far away.
Yeah. He unfortunately passed away like 2021, I believe.
Yeah, 21. Yeah, I think it was 2021. Yeah, I mean that came as an absolute shocker. That was wow. And for me, it was weird because I'd spent most of my adolescent years listening to him. I mean, I would always listen to him, pretty much all the way up to, I would say, 2018, 2019. Life just got busier. I couldn't really dedicate as much time to listening to it, but I would always use him as a repository. So he'd be naming books and things like that, and I'd go and read those books, you know. And I mean, the amount of things that I learned from that guy, just sort of branching off, and
So much.
yeah,
The cutting through the Matrix books too. We've gone over it
yeah.
on this channel. With me and Ronan have gone through cutting through the Matrix volume 1 and 2 and 3
Yeah.
as much as we could. I think Melissa, his Watt's wife, is like putting it into a book format and updating a bunch of it. So I'd look out for that.
Brilliant, yeah.
Yeah, I'll let you
Yeah.
guys know how that talk goes. I'm sure it'll be fun.
Yeah. I've actually, I still listen to Alan Watts videos. Melissa usually does
Like an intro.
introduction. Yeah, and then she'll
That's
play.
but
Alan's
she had that
intro.
guy on who I told you that was like, maybe I can get her to see if dude be down to debate some of us on the transhumanism stuff, but I highly doubt it. The what's his name? The guy I sent you.
Oh,
Giordano.
Yeah, Giordano.
Who was everywhere during COVID talking about all the transhumanist DARPA technology, but he's just like I don't think he would ever debate it. He's too much of a salesman for the stuff.
See that this is something Armin mentioned to me, and I was sort of well, funnily, but no, I think I mentioned it to him, and then he agreed with me. But I've probably picked it up from his book actually. But anyway, this whole ARG surrounding plasma tech, basically reality bending, and the idea that with the looking glass tech, that in fact they can, the government, the state, the transnational capital elite can in fact, bend the timelines. They can see all potential futures. So think about it, right? At a very, very basic level, if they have this technology, right, supposedly, then and people believe it en masse, vis-a-vis being brought down these rabbit holes like the Henry Martinez thing, all of this. By the way, I'm editing a video right now that goes into all of this.
Project Camelot, by the way, did a whole thing on this sort of stuff.
Exactly.
Which we know Carrie Cassidy is related to David Wilcock in a way, and also said that saying that he faked his own death and trying to say he was a scientist, and not so she's shilling for him. There's a lot of shilling,
and a lot of this comes from the 2012 thing as well. But the point is that effectively they want you to see the government or the state or the transnational capital elite, the cabal, as gods. If they can control time and space, they are effectively gods. Right, so it brings you into a state of learned helplessness.
Mm-hmm.
So you learn to love your servitude. This is the idea.
Get them. You have to depend. Yeah, that helplessness. That's the mindset and reality that they want you in, and it's all contrived.
Oh, and someone mentioned as well, wouldn't the world simulation do the same sort of predicting? I think it was launched in the 1950s. Absolutely, yeah. The Pentagon world simulation.
The one that started at Purdue University.
Exactly, yeah. But that would be more predictive analytics based upon mathematical models and algorithms, and of course fusing and merging AI with that in terms of the updated technology with the world simulation. But with looking glass tech, that's something entirely different. It's working upon, I guess we would call it, sort of metaphysical lines, right? Where they're actually bending space and time, and they're utilizing exotic particles, plasma being one of those particles. Plasma is ionized gas. There's multiple categories of plasma, dusty plasma and what have you. If you read Robert Temple's book, that The New Science of Heaven, again, that's doing the rounds now. He mentions that this plasma can be self-organizing, and it self-organizes into heliacal structures.
Yep. They're trying to say it's like DNA, and they're using the Kordylewski cloud, Kordylewski clouds.
Yeah,
I believe
and the Birkeland currents, and also as well, if you read Joseph P. Farrell's Demon in the Ecker, it sort of echoes this idea too, but it obviously takes it further. But again, you'll find a lot of these things are breadcrumbs. The breadcrumbs are placed there a bit like the Hansel and Gretel story. We, of course, in these circles would be the Hansel and Gretel, the target. And we, again, if you want to change the narrative of society, you have to make the target believe as though they are actually naturally and of their own volition, voluntarily doing it themselves. So you have to allow them to follow the breadcrumbs.
And Silas, this is why I promote having people empower themselves with acquiring resources, money, in whatever form that may be, using this code for utility. That's why I promote that, Silas, because you could do a lot more damage and repairing if you got like 20 mil in your back pocket, dude. Some form and fashion, you know what I mean? So I know but it's a 3D video game, and I'm down to play. In Dungeons and Dragons, dude, I'll be the DM, and that I think this is to empower y'all, man. This information, in my opinion, should be used for utility. I take this and I use this for utility. How? When any info tries to filter, I have them a good filter. So yeah, this is why I consider this amazing. And yeah, so I said all that. This comment started me down that thought pattern. They ain't gods, they're weak, they're like weak ass weaklings. So I'm just thinking to myself, why not me? You know what I mean? Like, why not me? I'll just be the governor of Georgia. 20 more years, I'll be governor of Georgia if that was a desire of mine.
That's a spot on though. They are weak. It's similar. In fact, it's similar to the Dungeon Master in Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah,
because
I'm an undercover nerd, Silas.
Oh no, dude, so am I. So am I. I am as well, man. But well, that is. See, the Dungeon Master only has power within the bounds of the game, and the only way to extend and to indefinitely extend his power, even beyond the remit of the game, is to ensure that all the players ultimately expand the parameters of that game as well to encompass the entire world. So the LARP becomes the world. And fundamentally, this is also based around Moloch. It's based around this sort of archetype of the Lord of the Earth, or the Lord of this world. And you'll find with the notion of sacrifice, or human sacrifice, which is tied to this thing, that this again cross-cultural, cross-border archetype, is that there's almost a machinic debt that everyone owes, and it's part of the sort of commandment of this thing, this archetype, to sacrifice unto it. Now, that doesn't just have to mean animal or human sacrifice. It can be the sacrifice of time itself, right? And fundamentally, all fiat currencies are based around this too. But ultimately, it's because they're the dungeon masters. This is the sort of LARP, the D&D game. This is how they perpetuate it. Sorry, man.
No, I was going to share this comment, but I didn't realize you shared this because you were like spot on Saturn. So yeah, man, Saturn. Please continue. And then we've heard a lot of people talk about black cubes and all that. They are into that. I feel like they take the Kubala and they've twisted it. They've whatever bad word you can think of, taking something cool and making it sucky. Like they've desecrated it. The Cubala, and they take the cube as a box, and that's your firm mind, your firmamente. And we're always here trying to shatter and put some cracks in all dogma and firm minds. So yeah, continue, Silas. It's funny. I didn't know this was your comment. Talking about Saturn.
Well, I mean, the idea of Saturn or Kronos, it ties into this same archetype, and it's not necessarily just about limitation and such. It's it surrounds all of, again, if you look at this Saturnine or Cronian mythology, he devours his own children, and he devours his own children because he is afraid. He understands that time eventually shall devour time itself, once, of course, it runs out of all other subordinates to devour. So he tries to preempt this by effectively isolating himself through the eating of his progeny, right? So he destroys all things, and he sort of exists within this isolate void. But it doesn't work, of course, because of the U catastrophe, that which is the good catastrophe that Rhea it does. You know, this
Eucatastrophe. Oh my gosh, how do you
Ray,
spell that?
effing
word?
Ray. Ray is everywhere.
The Eucatastrophe. How do you spell that?
EU and then catastrophe.
So the
EU.
the EU catastrophe, the European Union catastrophe.
No. But that's coming. That's coming. That's on
No,
the
that's
horizon.
Well, maybe
That's a
it
different
ended.
one. But that is a good catastrophe when it does come. But
I just learned a new word. Yeah.
I don't trust Ray though. I don't trust her.
there's something else to mention regarding the whole alternative reality game as well, and I put some notes together on this because I found the whole thing quite interesting. I've sort of described this in different ways, but I just came across this term alternative reality game recently. And so it states here, it's an interactive network narrative that uses the real world as a platform, blending digital and physical elements to tell a story. Often disguised as reality rather than a game. Players solve puzzles, uncover
Before
mysteries.
you go on, I need to say, this is what I brought up during the election when I saw that there was a group, and I can't even remember the freaking name of it now, aside from Project Mayhem, Project 2012, which became Project 2020. These were all Anon groups online on YouTube that were based off of the Lucifer Inc. Tyler versus I think it was Gabriel AI sort of ARG, alternative reality game. And what they were doing was seeking to bring that game into the real world as much as possible and affect the real world through the game. It was really a dangerous, you could see how dangerous it was going to be. Just from the way these people were behaving who were playing it.
Well, QAnon is one example of that. That is an ARG. So it's a psyop. It was something that was utilized by intelligence agencies. It was set up primarily by intelligence agencies.
Yep.
There's another one. You've got the Order of Nine Angles, and they've got an offshoot as well. God, I forget the name of them now. I'll find it after I've made this comment. But they primarily are seeking to recruit, and by the way, they have intelligence agency connections. One of the main founders of them is FBI.
We'll listen to this. Yesterday on the show with Emily Moyer that I did, or 2 days ago, whenever we did it, we were looking at Yale University.
Name drop much.
And well, I mean, and we all know Emily here, but we were looking at Yale, and if you look at downtown Connecticut, where New Haven, there is literally the emblem from the Order of Nine Angles carved into the downtown, basically like Central Park in the 9th District. It's on part of the old campus. So that's Skull and Bones.
Yeah, well, all of these secret societies are similar to that.
Yeah.
They only are meant to affect. They were only meant to have any effect within the nobility, the noble classes. You know, the ruling class, the political classes, or of course the middle management classes, as they would eventually become within quote unquote democracies, which are basically just fig leaves for oligarchy. But see when they begin to see, when this cabal begins to control a society, it begins from the top, right? You need to get control of the canopy of the tree before you work and worm your way down into the roots. And You can't
Trees
control
root
it.
for us, though, Silas. Don't forget, the trees root for us.
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, on that point, really, this is a bit of a tangent on that. There's a forest near me, right, and it's a really old temperate rainforest. I mean, ancient, not unlike the sort of farm-grown conifers and the Scots pine that they grow rapidly and then they cut them down and it just destroys the soil. It takes the nourishment out of them. It also
Oof.
deforms them as well. But
Oof.
these ancient temperate rainforests that there's a pocket of it that surrounds me, and I mean the whole this forest encompassed a huge. I mean, there's really only about maybe a tenth of it left from its original size. From the 60s back to whenever. Perhaps thousands and thousands of years back. But anyway, it's got like old moss and everything growing over it. It's very magical. There's something sacred about it. You walk into there, even with the desecration through litter and everything around it. Monster energy cans, the sort of anachronism of it all, right? You've got these old greybeard trees, and then you have the monster energy cans surrounding it, and as we call them here, the jakies having a sort of night out in the forest. But anyway,
Silas, fast. I mean, you just reminded me. I was in Florida, right in Boca Raton, just with the main little drag there. This amazing tree, right? And it was on like a main street with one of those little small what do you call those where you have like 4 storefronts in a little parking lot. This is but this amazing tree, it was huge and was growing between the sidewalk and pavement, but had super huge roots, was white, and then had like pink leaves and stuff. And I was like, yo, this tree, how old can this tree and be? This is I had to lay hands on it. I had to go hippie mode for a second and go, I have to introduce myself to this tree, yo. But anyway, please. Yeah.
I'm the same when I go up to them as well. You sort of, it's living. It's a living thing. It's like
and they're grounded. They're the most grounded thing you could think of. Their roots run deep, and they have a whole communication with the whole. If you're a Schumann resonance person or whatever, like they communicate, and you just go, "This is the best way to ground," and say what's up. High five a leaf every now and again. But go ahead. I'm sorry, Silas.
Add my image to the screen too while Silas is talking.
Oh, Chris, why don't you turn your camera on, dude?
Well, I mean, I don't need to be seen, but the image below. Add what I'm sharing to the screen. Yeah. So this is
everyone in the chat. Let us know if you want Chris to turn his camera on.
I don't have the camera set up either. But this is the New Haven Green and down in the 9th district, and it even is completed here. And you could tell there's like a missing piece as
Quintessentia.
As always. And there's a fountain over here on one of these corners that's like a Greek fountain for one of the I think it's for Dionysus.
Dionysus, yeah.
Yeah.
I would have thought it was it's either Pan or Dionysus. But we
got shell and bones down here. But this is a skull and bones. Yeah, it's like all these high level fraternal secret orders. So I'm wondering if one of the people you're going to mention being involved in some of this was from one of these. Because I know you were about to mention someone.
Well, here's another one. I'll send you on WhatsApp, Chris, because this is from.
This is by the way, shout out Howard. This is, of course, mountains are tree things. That's where I'm at with it. Or Titan hearts. They might even be petrified titans. Straight up.
Group 764. That's the one I'm looking at here.
Mm-hmm. And I've heard of them.
Yeah, I did. I'm trying to find it on this. I did a deep dive on them, and I mean, these guys are just so unbelievably connected to intelligence agencies and things. But fundamentally, what they try to get children to do and adolescents is they invite them into basically a Project Mayhem style group. If they can't get them to go out and do destructive acts, I won't name what acts those are. I'm sure people can imagine what they are, and they're heinous. Or they try to get them try to get these vulnerable children to do heinous acts to themselves, right? And so ultimately, what this is generating is chaos. It's fundamentally to generate chaos. It was the third. There's the third. I think it's the third law of it's Robert. Is it Robert Power's third law of politics or something? Where he states that if you can't understand bureaucratic mechanisms and the policies of bureaucracy, merely assume that you are controlled, or the bureaucratic departments have been captured by a cabal of your enemies, and they're being used against you. Because this is the only way to explain this. I mean, why would you have intelligence agencies that are domestic to the US doing this against their own population? It doesn't make any sense. Other than, of course, these intelligence agencies are in fact just mere arms or wings of a cabal of America's enemies, or of the West's enemies.
I mean, I actually am shocked. I've never heard anyone connect the Order of Nine Angles to Yale. So we know they recruit out of Yale, the CIA, and all the intelligence agencies. So obviously, the Order of Nine Angles, they're both the same thing.
Exactly.
All these intelligence agencies are these left-hand path occult groups, and probably the opposing occult groups as well.
Exactly. Well, it's based on Armin's idea of the blueprints. See, they're never going to stop using the symbolism and such, because it's psychological.
And Silas, he calls them blueprints. I call them a playbook. Like he calls them blueprints.
Yeah.
And it's just they just run the playbook. Anyway.
Exactly. No, that's exactly what it is, because that ties in with American football. And well, I don't know a lot about American football. I know a bit. I had to learn it because I picked up the Madden game recently, and I had absolutely no idea what the hell was going on. And so I had to sit down for like a good couple of hours and look at these YouTube videos and try and figure out what the hell was going on with American football. But it is very similar.
By the way,
playbook allegory.
By the way, Silas, Machete is just learning about how awesome you are, dude.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. But yeah, it's absolutely the allegory of the playbook is spot on. This idea that you have, this it's a very it's a routine effectively. It's multiple subroutines being conducted by the actors on the field. This is what fundamentally establishes, the blueprint or the playbook, right? It's like Shakespeare's famous saying, all the world's a stage. I think it's from Henry.
Oh yeah,
Henry
bro.
V or something. All the world's a stage.
But then go to that IDF or whoever that interview was. They were like, we're the actors, we're the producers, we're the such and suchers. And if you think about actors, just any acting, oh, you okay, honey? My cat. He's never made that sound before. Anyway, think about actors. You can just put them in the roles of their lives, and then they can just take over and just go, we're acting the whole time.
Totally spot on. And remember as well, it's like, for example, Dungeons and Dragons, back to that. I play a lot of, I did play, not really nowadays, but back in the day, I played a lot of hardcore RPG games, all the way from basically Elder Scrolls 2 Daggerfall to some of the
Shout
more
out
modern.
Elder Scrolls, and don't get me
Yeah.
started on Skyrim. I put many.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But that's the same. See when you're immersed, quote unquote, immersed in that role that you're playing within the game, hence role playing game, you almost effectively become the character or the avatar, right? Hence the actor itself isn't necessary. He's not a person. Well, technically is. I mean, he from the Greek persona, right? He meaning the mask that the actor wears, but I mean person as in terms of the modern colloquial sense of that word, meaning he's not necessarily a human being at that point in time. He is an avatar. In fact, the avatar has assimilated him. So what he's doing, his mind is set up to anticipate how the avatar or the persona, the mask, how it would act. So thus, in that sense,
Never mind.
the person would effectively take on the role, because it becomes the role, just almost automatically. And this is why, for example, you don't necessarily need to control every facet within a staged crisis. You only have to control the scenery, what's called the mise en scène, the placement of scenery, the creation of the scenery, to thus establish the characters. And because they're all compartmentalized, if you're in this situation, everyone's shouting active shooter, or you've got guys with police officers or secret service with guns and walking around aimlessly just shouting move, watch the crossfire, move, and they're walking quite deliberately and quite Hollywood-esque. Your mind has already been triggered, or pardon me, primed to be triggered at these certain things, right? To these certain scenes, because it's been primed by Hollywood, these rabbit holes, these ARGs. So ultimately, what you do, it's not necessarily to psychologically familiarize you with the concept so you don't get shocked when it comes out. It's to psychologically familiarize you with the concept so you play the character when the thing actually occurs, when the stage crisis is triggered.
I heard something amazing about that today, in that all right, mainstream stuff like Bill Maher, right? He's a snaky guy, but he's talking to David Cross from Arrested Development, right? And they're talking an interview and podcast, whatever. And the David Cross dude was like, yeah, my daughter, she's 8 and she knows she has like 2 trans in her class and whatever. And Bill Maher's like, wait, what? In the 8th grade or the 5th grade, trans? And it's like, yeah, it's normal. He's talking about, oh, it's normal. And then my 10-year-old girl thinks she's a boy, so I call him a boy. I'm like, and he's talking about that. And then luckily Bill Maher, who I don't like, but was like, dude, you're talking crazy. Like you people, he didn't say this is me, but I'm like, you people are in a bubble of the most insane things I could ever imagine. And they believe it. It's not just their presentation. These types of people believe it. Like, yo, you got your 4-year-old thinks it's a girl. Like, what are you talking about? Hell, I'll go with it. It's like, they're so whacked. Like, they're not the leaders of anything, like these actors, etc. They're so lost in these bubbles that they would really abuse their own children. You know what I'm saying?
No, absolutely.
Absolutely.
See, this is the Saturnine archetype again.
And think of his virtue, Silas, and go, well, that's a virtue notch on my shoulder, flat, badge.
Absolutely spot on. Yeah, and it's the Saturnine archetype at play again, because see the reason that Saturn acted like that is because when you give yourself over to unrelenting, recalcitrant power that cannot be satiated. It has to control everything, must centralize all power unto itself, ad infinitum. When that happens, you let go of all potentiality for empathy, for care, for love, and like Saturn, you'll eventually eat your own children, right? You'll give over to the gluttony of power, and effectively, you lose all connection to your heart because you're trying to control the world. So you externalize everything, and this is what by the way, this is what you see, and what I saw with writing my first book, is that as the civilization begins to grow and grow and grow and grow and age, in its late stages, it begins to externalize absolutely everything to the point where it ultimately destroys the family. Because as a human being, and not just family, but even groups of friends, a fellowship, they destroy all of that because ultimately everyone wants power. They all become narcissistic, and they all, they're basically clamoring over each other like zombies, trying to, get to the final scraps of meat. And it's basically a zero-sum game. But that ties in as well with what I was saying regarding the forest that I frequent. And there's fields around this forest, right? Again, you've got this like little island of antiquity, this ancient, sacred, hoary magic in this glade and grove and the forest. And there was meant to be a 15-meter buffer zone round this place. And lo and behold, what, the most corrupt council in the UK, they decide, no, in fact, we're going to allow a huge Amazon warehouse to be built in basically a stone throw's distance away from this forest.
Oh, dude, I just heard of a data center being built by my house, bro.
Same thing, man. Yeah,
like literally yesterday. So my county voted no, but they just went a little north, like 5 minutes north, and they said yes. So they're building a data center not far from here. So, bro, oh gosh, everywhere.
Yeah, man. It just doesn't stop. It must exhaust everything on the planet, And yeah, sorry, Chris, jump in, bro.
But it's interesting about when you look at these patterns that we all agree seem to continually happen. That as we get further along down a timeline of a civilization, the group dynamic starts to implode. Every sort of negative aspect of human life is externalized by the individual, as well as the groups within the societies that are collapsing. But if you look at nature and the animals and the other species around us, we don't see the same pattern. And I think that tells you that pattern isn't natural. I mean, if we weren't being manipulated into the outcome that we're discussing here happening, I don't think it would happen. I don't know. What do you think about that? What do you guys think about that?
Well, I think civilization itself, I think it's invasive. I don't even think it's something really that human beings would opt for. I mean, the idea as well that we would leave the hunter-gatherer lifestyle, again, just based upon, the supposed, I mean, it is logical, before civilization, we would have been nomadic hunter-gatherers. I mean, I can feel it in myself. I actually dream of that lifestyle, and of course people will say, well, of course you can dream of this because you have access to modern amenities and you're basically dreaming from luxury. No, I go out hiking and camping and you know, in the dead of the
Get
Scottish
'em.
winter and things, you know. I like that. I like, and I also like the construction side as well. I like putting myself
Oh,
against the
Cyrus.
elements, but
But
yeah,
you
what
see,
happened?
that you, oh, sorry, Ronan, go ahead.
No, the last time I went camping was in the snow. We predicted snow. We were like, oh man, it would be cool to like camp out in the snow. We're going up Blood Mountain in Georgia, which is the highest elevated mountain. It's on the
That is a great name for a mountain.
Blood Mountain. It's next to like a whole bunch of other interesting names too. You know, but yeah. So man, I camped out and it snowed in the middle of the night as planned. And bro, I was so cold. I was like, this sucks. I didn't sleep. I was so cold. And I woke up and everything was frozen and in snow. I mean, it was beautiful, but it was tough. It was real tough.
See the
I had
thing
to hike,
about
10 miles that day with no sleep. And I had already just hiked 6 miles to the camp. So I'm like, oh my gosh, that was a year and a half ago, and I haven't been multi-day hiking camping.
See, it seems like when you guys discuss how you would enjoy that lifestyle, I would as well. But that is a more symbiotic lifestyle, and it seems like the more we get into the technologically based systems of control, it just all becomes parasitical. It's a parasitical.
Well, it's interesting, Chris, because I think I actually went camping beyond what I just said, and I'm going to bring this up, Chris, with apparitions and entities out in the forest. We hiked in, we took mushies, and I had already identified some old trees. I was like, and we this beautiful spot, backcountry by a river near a waterfall, no one around. You know what I mean? But I identified this forest, and it had young energy because they had a fire that passed through it. You know how they have been like burning everything for the last decade, putting everything on fire. Well, this was one of those victims of that. So had young energy as a forest, and I'm speaking as a mystic right now. As goofy as that. Remove the Greeks. I'm speaking as the mist right now. And then they had these trees had personalities, yo. And I was like, all right, I'm going to bed. And I saw orbs, and I was like verifying that. I was like, you see these orbs, right? And he's like, yeah.
So you're saying you were content. You were
yeah. But it was also spooky because there were these entities, and I had to ground myself. I had to go, cross, sit down on a boulder and put my hands down and go, put a force field around me, because there's a lot of interesting entities out here, man.
Well, and I think here's the problem. You have to admit that there is a polarity of evil that exists within this world in one form or another that is either coming through man and woman, all of mankind. Let's just use that word. I'm not being PC because I'm not going to do that right now. But you all know what I mean. Humankind. Or it is affecting humankind. Obviously, we have these dual natures to us. But that dual nature, it's like something as easy as we're living in one of these nomadic societies like you guys are talking about, and all of a sudden you just have something inspire one of the individuals to say, oh, you can't cut down those trees, man. It's like for your house, like we cut down way too many already, like, and it's going to cause climate change. or they say, oh, you're hunting for its food? I'm vegan. I think it's wrong. And then you automatically get division. And it's as simple as that. It's as small and as simple as that.
Well, that's what civilizations thrive on.
Yeah.
The dialect. It's even goes
Should
beyond
I play this
dialect.
vid?
You know?
Should I
Yeah,
play this vid?
yeah. Go for it, bro.
All right, Silas, you shared this for some reason. I don't know why, but I'm going to play it. And then you're going to tell us what's going on. All right, cool. I'll take that as a
Yeah,
yes.
man. Yeah, man. Sorry, man. I
job.
thought you were going to play it.
An architect who's really talented. He's done a lot of work for him. He's got a flair, a beautiful Hispanic flair in particular. And he comes from originally a place called Cuba, which we will be taking over almost immediately. No, Cuba's got problems. We'll finish one first. I like to finish a job.
Dude, even in your most fantasy world, could you imagine, just think about your head and you go presidents or leaders or prime ministers are prestigious. Yo, these cats nowadays, they're out here just talking sheesh, yo.
Oh, it's totally insane.
He's
Totally
a-
insane.
He's-
yo,
he's
whether you're
funny.
into it or not.
He's
Yeah,
funny
whether-
though. I'll
Yeah,
give him
whether
that.
you roll with it or not, it's like, yo, these cats are like roasting the other team.
I mean, I think this is all nonsense what we're going through right now. It's all planned. It's
The
all
nonsense is exponentially amplified.
See the West.
It's a number
primarily-
and a half, yo. Oh my gosh.
the West primarily deals in psychological governance.
Yeah.
Where, for example, with
Oh, and
China and
markets
Russia, they
as well.
deal with they deal purely with force, right? They're far more authoritarian, and they're honest about it. But with the West, it deals in an empire of spectacle, or a theater of the absurd. And what you're seeing here, for example, is the empire of spectacle. You know,
I would say Russia used to do that though with their non-linear warfare or asymmetrical warfare that they were doing.
the Soviet Union did
Yeah.
a hell of a lot. Like they dealt in psychological governance. For example, Operation Trust, which was basically what inspired, for example, January 6th and the QAnon thing. Even maybe the larger scale.
And let's not forget that there was the same exact event that happened down, I think, in Brazil. Was it Brazil when they overtook? They overtook their Capitol building. There was a guy wearing the same shaman. What is it? The horns, the bull horns, whatever the hell he was wearing.
The buffalo thing.
Yeah, he was wearing the same outfit. It was like basically a simulation of the 1st to January 6th simulation, which that's why I think none of this is. I think the entire world is already globalized, and we're just watching a play.
Oh,
totally, yeah, totally.
A play. It's a mixed reality. There are events going on, but they do that just to maintain some sort of legitimacy to what they're acting out.
do y'all know that the UAE just left OPEC? That's the petrodollar of the US. The UAE just left OPEC. That's the petrodollar of power. That's where it gets its. That's where the US dollar gets its thing from. That just changed like today. The Iranian people are charging Bitcoin to come through. So crypto's a thing now. Why? Because, but they don't know you can still taint it. That's another conversation. But I mean, they're like, yo, you can't cut us out of SWIFT. We'll deal with crypto. You're talking about $1 billion, several billion dollars a month, maybe more, maybe $1 trillion a month. If you do the math, they're charging $2 million a ship. And there's 100, let's say 100 ships a day. 20 million, 200 million. That's 200 million a day. What's that in a month?
Oh yeah, I think Iran are talking about something in the order of magnitude of 14 billion that they will earn per year from charging these tolls. And just to put that into perspective, well, to put it into perspective, I think they're what would they call it? They're not necessarily their income, but their revenue each year only amounts to something like 12 billion or something like that. I forget now. But it's so effectively what you're seeing is Iran will become a regional player. They will, in fact, they're probably going to take over the, in terms of this, not territorially, but the sphere of influence of that region.
This is
purely narratively.
This is pushing the agendas. Unfortunately, there are actors in charge, seemingly in charge, illusionarily in charge of Iran as well.
It's the whole thing's in charge.
It's the whole thing.
Is being run by a group that we have no idea who the hell they are. Think tanks and oligarchical families, the black nobility, these people who were watching.
Control. All they have is a narrative, Chris. So, like, if what we're saying, the people on the ground go, yeah, we get it. That's why there's 400 million of us in the street going, no, you guys suck. No, you guys suck. And then there's like 20 people going, totally, this is awesome. Totally, this is awesome. But you can make those 20 people look like some super huge street mob and go, they're totally for taking over. And
the problem is that we have anyone in the street at all. Like people should be ignoring every single thing they're told and just do their own freaking thing. And this would all just start. These people would start panicking, man.
What I think is going to come from this is that this is all designed, and I noticed this from my first book. I sort of predicted that they would leave Afghanistan, the US and the West, and then they would move back, and eventually the borders would contract, back to the US itself, right? But of course, this is how civilizations and empires typically go. But what you're seeing across the world is fundamentally the unveiling of what I called 2 years back the perpetual war doctrine, which is effectively Orwell's 1984 and the idea of the super blocks. But it's like what Kelly's already stated. Kelly Boyle.
These catacombs come from. There's a war-like and we're in that world. We're in that war-like cycle right now, Silas. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone is fighting against one another. All of these various mega regions that will come to the fore in the future are being formed right now. So, for example, what we're seeing with the US, it's effectively the unveiling of the Monroe Doctrine, which will establish the TechNet, which was mentioned some 100 years ago with Technocracy Inc., which was the technocratic movement within both Canada and the US. I think they also were partially had influence down in Mexico and such. But the idea is that effectively America annexes Canada, annexes Greenland, also annexes Cuba, and I believe Mexico also comes under the purview of the US. And what this does is it'll establish a super bloc there, right? They couldn't do it through NAFTA, like what they did with the EEC, which was the European equivalent of NAFTA that eventually morphed into the EU. They couldn't do it the diplomatic way, so they're doing it through the sort of geopolitical wrangling. And then, everyone will be in perpetual war. And this will allow the perpetuation, a bit like the debt system, which fundamentally is the economy. It maintains itself on perpetuation, on infinite growth, and of course, in this sense, it'll be perpetuated on the infinite compulsive engagement cycles, right? Everyone will be engaged with the news, with everything, because it'll be an internet of all things, and we'll be at, Europe will be at war with Russia, America will be at war with China, so you have this constant friction which artificially generates this dark fire. And again, this is civilization. This is literally all the way back to the Promethean flame, where Ungo and Bungo got together, the two cavemen, and through friction created the artificial sun, the artificial light, and that began the journey of man towards civilization. I think civilization, though, is an entirely foreign concept to man, because There's so many reasons you would not become a sedentary agricultural society. So many reasons you would continue to be, a hunter-gatherer. Firstly, freedom. Secondly, there's major issues with the idea of the Dunbar number. That's basically anything above 150 people in a group typically forms problems, serious problems that eventually result in, civilizational destruction, right? Which is why they
Like a
create
tribe,
these cycles.
like a
Tribe.
tribe. I've heard similar
Yeah.
numbers, but like a total tribe, when you start getting above like 300 and some change.
Yeah, three to 500 is like the top limit, and above that you start to see some serious, like really weird neuroses begin to crop up. But exactly, that's the there's other issues as well. I mean, with agriculture, with primitive agricultural techniques, it's very difficult to get consistent yields. So why the hell did human beings make this transition when a hunter-gatherer works less? He has more idle or leisure time than an agricultural or sedentary population. So what the hell, sort of encouraged them to make that leap? An invasive entity? Who knows? Is it something altogether inhuman? I mean, these are the questions that sort of float about my mind, but I'm not necessarily saying it's plasma entities, but that is a certain speculative position you could take. But there's some serious issues with just that alone. How the hell did civilization begin? And as you can see, civilization is the model for human hyper domestication. I mean, there's no other way to describe it.
Let me ask you this. By the way, shout out. I was watching a show last night, Sabrina Wallace and Topher Gardner on BioChrisMinor. And so they talk about smart dust and all the scalar waves and all that. Man, that's what they spray, obviously. That's what's in everything, and that's what's in all the stuff we're looking at right now. We're getting poisoned watching this. So Deborah asks, should we just swallow our phones, or what do you do with your cell phone?
Try not to use it as best as you can. I mean, it literally is a scrying mirror. I try to get away from it as much as possible. There's
right.
something anti-human about
I gotta
it.
put my glasses on, dude. My blue blockers.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Have you seen this, Silas or Ronan?
Let me take a look.
Kepler's little Ouija board type of what's the what's it called? The
chart.
What's the what's the triangle with the circle in it? I keep forgetting the name of it that they use on the Ouija board.
Oh, God, yeah, it's basically the Oculus, isn't it? It's
and there's like something like
I need to find it. I can't remember it.
Something thematurgical. Nah, I'm not. I can't remember the name of the magic either. But basically, this is a list of conjunctions. This Jupiter, the planchette, which is similar to that magical circle triangle combination that John D. always used to talk about. I can't remember the name of it right now, but
this magic.
It was it's like thaumaturgy. There it is, Howard. Thaumaturgy. Yeah, thaumaturgical triangle, I believe is what they call it. But these are the Jupiter-Saturn conjunctions. And the last one, which we had apparently 2020. Every time you have one, you have them performing some sort of ritualistic pandemic right after. The Black Death being one. 2020, we have, obviously, COVID. I thought that was interesting. I had never seen this before.
Well, 1663 as well was very close to 1665, which was the final outbreak of the bubonic plague, I'm pretty sure. In fact, that's where the term pandemic was first sort of coined as a neologism.
Yeah, this is
and
now on
then-
the Black Death wiki page, which it never was before.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Right.
Oh,
So-
by the way, my daughter, I made sure I just confirmed. I was like, "You have not had your wisdom teeth taken out, right?" She's like, "Yeah, no." I was like, "Okay, cool. Never have them taken out." So I let her know. I was like, "If anyone pressures you, tell them I'll be, I'll talk to them, and you never have your wisdom teeth taken out." So little things like that, I'm just telling her, like, because they have stem cells in them for 20, 30 years. And anyway, that's why I use little things like this, using the code for utility, where I'm like, don't have them F your mouth up like they did mine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Little
No,
things.
for real.
That's powerful.
For real.
But don't let me, no, keep going with where you guys are going. It just reminded me of that.
Well, I mean, I'm Silas, you studied the Black Plague and you've studied the multiple versions of it.
I've got them in that book. Was it The Golden Age of Saturn's America? I
So-
think it was about 80 pages I did on the Black Death and all of that.
You gotta find the one that had, find the one that matches what we're going through right now the most. Like the one that had right after the conjunction had a similar type of pandemic, and then an election, and then wars that people thought were going to be weird. Maybe people were thinking it was end times.
Which Chris, which black plagues are you talking about? Bubonic plagues, because they're all narrative stuff, right?
That's what I mean. I'm trying to see which one, and I want to see which ones from the narrative matches closest to the 2020 to 2026 timeline.
Well, you have one every 100 years. There's a major one every 100 years, and it usually occurs in the 20th of that century, the 20th year of that century. The closest one, really, funnily enough, is probably the Spanish flu, right? So again, this is going.
But they stopped the Spanish flu within a year. It was done.
It was, but that set the precedent. It was started in various U.S. forts in Kansas. The reason they utilized the term Spanish flu was merely as a disguise for the It was started by needlecrafts, right? And needlecraft experimentation in these forts on, of course, unsuspecting service members in the U.S. military. And
Tyler, I got to ask you.
Yeah.
You're a terrain guy, yes or yes?
Oh, in terms of germ theory is total bunk. That goes back to Athanasius Kircher and his ideas surrounding the mundus subterraneus, or the mysteries of the interior of the earth. Basically, the idea is that he postulated, based on, and this is from what Eros is mentioned, and I've went back and sort of looked at this because I wasn't fully aware of this, not to the depth of not to the depth that he provided and in his exposition. But the idea is that he took this from Bartholomew of Parma's notions regarding basically as above, so below. What did he call it? The alchemy of the stars, or something along those lines. He's from the 13th century, and Athanasius Kircher, who is a Jesuit, by the way, Ignatius Loyola is the whole Jesuitical order is based off Kabbalistic principles, but that's by the by. In the 15th century, Athanasius Kircher took those ideas that effectively man was dictated, and man's psyche was dictated by the stars. And he postulated that the Earth had a similar sort of mechanism that was working in play with us and in play with the stars. And the idea is if you want to affect the heavens, you can in fact affect the earth through what he called geomancy. And geomancy is effectively utilizing, it's basically earth magic. You're utilizing the earth, the symbols or the signs within the earth, to affect reality itself. That's the sort of basis of it. And so he stated that there was a molten iron core, and that through veins that came up out of the ground, all the way from the center of the earth into these volcanoes, this system was a sort of, he postulated this system was a self-regulating thing. It basically created pressure, a buildup of pressure, which was then periodically let out, right? And then that sort of pressure that was ejected, it itself grew the earth and expanded the earth through expanding the crust, right? So basically, he then took that idea, he postulated it, it was the same as germ theory, and he stated that these little invisible worms, basically bacteria, protobacteria, as he would view it, caused disease. It was the main primary cause of disease. And then, moreover, as well, he applied that to that sort of pyrophylakia, as he called it. He applied that to politics itself. So the idea is that you actually self-sabotage the system to induce periodic resets, which allow you more control over the system going forward. It's basically Ordo ab Chao. Totally crazy. Shouldn't make sense, but it does.
It's interesting because some of what you're mentioning in the literal sense of the release of pressure is in that show Paradise that we were talking about.
And here, I want to send you a picture here. This is from
You're into
Athanasius Kircher's Mundus Subterraneus. Sorry, Ron.
no, Chris. Have you're into the show The Boys?
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I've.
Woo-wee. It took a turn this season.
I haven't been watching. I gotta watch it. But
that's what I'm saying. That's these are my shows. They're so dark. All my shows are dark and violent. And yeah, check it out, Chris. The latest, and you'll see what I'm saying.
I definitely will. The WhatsApp. Let me see.
Yeah, I've sent you something on WhatsApp, and this is the basis of germ theory.
Looks like spike protein, doesn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
and guys, watch Invincible and The Boys.
Here, I'll send that to Ronin in case he wants to share it because it's on my phone.
So this is known as the Systema Ideale Pyrophylaciorum Subterraneorum. So basically, means the ideal system of subterranean fire reservoirs. I can't really go into this too deeply, but if you look into
real quick, Deborah, the answer to her query is correct. This is a correct comment in my interpretation. Checks out. Go ahead, Silas. I'm sorry, I'm being silly, man.
No, dude, it's all right. It's all right, bro. So yeah, that's pretty much. It's pretty much what's going on.
Don't blame me. Oh, wait.
I sent you the picture, Ronan, that he sent me to pull up.
And don't blame me if I'm not the one being silly. Deborah is trying to. She's silly, and then it's influencing me. So blame her.
Saris, have you seen that link? Have you seen anything on that link that I sent you? But I know I've heard of the Saros cycle.
I have it right here.
I know. I want to know if Saris had heard of any of the other ones besides the Saros cycle, like the draconic months. But also bring up the picture that I sent you, Ronan, because not in the chat. It's on your Telegram.
Oh, yes. I have heard of this, actually, yeah. The equal to 223 synodic months. Yeah, I've definitely come across that, but it's many moons ago I came across that one. Draconic months. Basically, the idea is that Eros put forward, and I find it pretty convincing. And The reasons that I find it convincing are so multifarious. Again, you'd have to read my books, you'd have to go through the videos to sort of pick up on how I'm triangulating all of this. But it's based around perennial cross-cultural and cross-mythological ideas that I've studied, and you begin to see a pattern, right? And it's not necessarily a pattern based on pure, I'm not. It's not apophenia, right? There's connections that you're seeing from ancient works that are using the same words. It may be the same words but slightly transliterated. They use the same symbols. They use the same interpretations of those symbols, which is interesting, right? There might be minor variances with names, minor variances in terms of the symbols and what have you. But ultimately, all of these things are check out to, yeah, that's it there. So that's Athanasius Kircher's ideal system, the Pyrophyllakiorum, which pyro from the Greek pure, where we get our word purification from, meaning fire, and phylakiorum from the Greek phylakion, derived from phylasein, meaning to guard or defend, or a place of guarding, basically a repository or a reservoir. Now, this also ties in, by the way, with the biodigital thing. So the notion is, see that center fire, the big fire in the middle, this molten core of the earth, right? Is that basically that is the flame imperishable, or our soul. And what they're seeking to do is basically establish an aberrant simulacra, pure imitation of our soul through cyberspace, metaverse, biodigitalism. And by them basically getting us to merge into that, we become one with the mundus subterraneus. We become one with their new world. Well, I guess it'd be the novus mundus subterraneus, their new world of the underground, and by the way, this is why they also worship Saturn. At least the archetype of Saturn, not necessarily the planet or what have you, but the archetype of Saturn, Kronos, is because these things are chthonic. Chthonic means subterranean, underground. They worship in caves. They have underground caves. Remember the Baal room, the new Baal room? Most of it is
this is
underground.
why they like Hephaestus too, the volcanic volcano god. Yeah,
Vulcan.
Bingo.
Bingo.
Silas came prepared. What do you think about this, Silas? Did you come prepared, or you just always have these ready in the holsters?
and you see the volcano.
I'm actually just, as they say in America, shooting the shit.
And
Basically, I don't come prepared now.
You see the volcanoes going off around the entire image too.
Yeah. So it's see the thing is here, what it's showing is that it's the Earth is a system of soul trap reflection. Well, it's similar it's similar to the concept. It's similar in a sense to the concept, as above, so below.
If I'm not 100% on soul trap versus prison versus paradise, does it? Let me see how you say this. Am I doing my own mental? Does one do their own mental jujitsu, gymnastics, parkour to make something fit in the idea that makes them feel the most comfortable for whatever happens?
Regarding your sort of a criticism of soul trap theory, is that what you're
or
referring?
whatever I'm into?
No, I think it's just due diligence, to be honest. We always see. I will never take a stance on a certain theory, just because fundamentally I can never find enough definitive proof of these things, because ultimately I'm not part of the elite, unfortunately. So I'm not privy to all the information. Therefore, I'm always basically, I can only know of the basis, the foundational pillars, and any platform, the main thing that sits above that, I have no idea about, but I only know that something is being supported by these things. Sure, absolutely, the soul trap theory is the same as what we're discussing here, which is this the Earth is basically a self-regulating machine vis-a-vis depressurizing the system through periodic conflagrations or resets, hence the volcanoes, right? So it ties in with soul trap theory, which is basically this is what you're seeing here is the toroidal field. It's an enclosed system where the energy can't escape. It just continually circulates around. It creates new crustal formations. It creates the atmosphere as you see here. It affects the heavens, you know. So basically it really ties in with all of this stuff. And I want to say as well, these things aren't necessarily adversarial or satanic, right? Yeah, Gnosticism itself is sort of a psyop. That's something that you see it just exploded out of nowhere. Again, another ARG, right? Another thing to bring you down the rabbit hole, because the rabbit hole is the toroid. It's the enclosed system.
Yeah,
you know,
dude. Even like the Hermetics in the what's that book with the Kabbalah, not the Kabbalah, the Kabbalion. Oh man.
Oh, the Kabbalion. Yeah.
So all that info wasn't really put together and compiled until the early 1900s.
Yeah.
Like 1910 or 20. I can't remember the exact date.
Think about it as well with the Nag Hammadi scrolls. They just came out of nowhere.
That's what I'm saying. Yes.
And Armin even states this as well, and I'm becoming more and more convinced of this, which is that those scrolls were found at an opportune time. He states that this is the retroactive content. You know when they go back and they like destroy like franchises and series and like they'll retcon, they say retcon stuff, right? So they'll like say, well, they did it recently with the World of Warcraft thing, but to pick out a more pop cultural idea. God, I can only think of Fallout. So with Fallout, there was a lot of things that they went back and retconned once Bethesda bought it over, meaning basically things that were lore accurate in Fallout 1 and Fallout 2 weren't necessarily lore accurate in Fallout 3. So they basically became more lackadaisical and loose in terms of how they applied the lore, right? That was established in the first and second games. Once Bethesda bought it over. Yeah,
into the chat. I'm let the record show I'm not a Papyrus fan. If your stuff is coming through on Papyrus, I ain't buying it. Sorry, I think it's gonna be fraudulent. If it's not written in stone, see you later.
Oh,
what about ePapyrus, man? I'm just ePapyrus, like ebook, ePapyrus, or and
the like a Wikipedia. That's Wikipedia. That's a century-old Wikipedia right there.
Exactly, man. Yeah.
They're giving y'all Wikipedia for 120 years. Congratulations. 3 generations later, everyone doesn't know shit about shit.
Bro, if it ain't written in cuneiform, I don't want to know. But so it's retroactive continuity. That's the full term. So basically you're retroactively writing the past, which was the Nag Hammadi scrolls, right? And all of these things.
Oh, dude, Howard made this. Look how powerful this is. I'm all on. This is a powerful comment right here. I believe this, because it disempowers people when used. It depends on how one wields it, right? And you got to go bird language.
Well, it's epigenetics and epidysgenics.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Those words right there.
That's better, probably more closer than eugenics.
Well, language itself is because human beings. We have this distinction between the objective reality and the subject of our minds. So basically everything we're seeing right now and interpreting, I'm not meaning to be existentialist here. This is just a fact of of reality, right? I'm not saying the outside world doesn't exist. It's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the way that we formulate the outside world is within, of course, the filter of our mind, right? So everything that we see is basically a head movie, right? To steal a quote from Simple Jack from, Tropic Thunder, just a reference right out of the blue there, right? But
Oh, I
so
love that movie. I got to rewatch that.
it's awesome, bro. It's awesome. But yeah, so the idea is that with languages, with words, especially from the written word, which destroys our faculty of memory, language itself is designed to basically break down all of the things that are ultimately infinite in scope, for example, life and death. We break them down into narrow conceptual frameworks. Ultimately, for example, if you think of death, the word death, which again is the narrowing down of that limitless idea. The way you think of death, and I don't mean to be morbid, but this is just the sort of greatest unknown of all unknowns. You think of death in relative terms to you, right? And you'll typically think of images, usually static images of death, or perhaps memories, right, of a loved one dying. So ultimately, death is used as a noun within our English, any language really, but within English. But ultimately, it's not a noun to us; it's a verb, because fundamentally we view these things through the doing, right? The images of doing, be it either a static image of the concept in the real world, or so ultimately, it's not. These words themselves, what I'm trying to say is that these words themselves are narrow, very narrow conceptual frameworks of the greater idea they're trying to encapsulate themselves through, of course, the sounds, the arbitrary sounds that we make, right? For example, death, life. Think of a tree. When I say a tree to you, you probably think of one type of tree, and you'll be thinking of one type of tree in a static image from a very, very static angle. So you're not even thinking of holistically the entire tree. Steiner said this same thing regarding arithmetic, right? Or biology. You look at life from, if you become fixated on this, if you become specialized in a specific field, which is what, of course, civilization desires, because it allows greater control over the individual. They don't want Renaissance men. They don't want autodidacts. They don't want polymaths, because those individuals are far more difficult to control. Sorry, Ronan.
No, I'm agreeing with you. They don't want that. Please continue.
So
by the way, the chat is crushing. Let me just shout out to chat, Silas, man, because we got legends out here. Psyops under surface equals interesting. Howard, are we psyching ourselves out? And then a new homie, Lucid Quasar. What an awesome name. Those insane asylum or insanely complex architecture makes you think. Well, obviously, brutal is. I mean, yeah, they're doing sigils, they're doing brutalism, they're destroying, they're taking all the good vibes out. Yeah, Kurt, totally. And cats have been programmed like it's not even funny. It's crazy. I felt into an agnostic hole recently alongside the recent psyop of it all. Haha, it's a compelling cosmology, though. Totally right. Shout out Scoops, bro. I don't know who's sincere or who's agents out here, man, but the chat's been crushing. Howard's awesome. But anyway, dude, I'm just a fan right now. I'm just enjoying the convo. I'm glad to be a part of it.
Yeah, man, we always have superb conversations on here. You never know what subject we're going to go to. But yeah, so just to answer Howard, sorry, I went on a bit of a tangent there, but basically, yeah, it affects the terrain of your mind, and the terrain of your mind eventually affects your whole genealogy, It affects the whole, like what you were saying, Chris, the genetic memory, the epigenetics itself, and then that affects the zeitgeist, the sort of spiritual or psycho-spiritual energy that dwells within a people and defines the people. So yeah, that's
Well, if people
yeah.
understood epigenetics at all, or cared to even think about it for more than 5 minutes, they'd realize that, Christ, everything they're listening to is the reason that they're not feeling well, the reason that they get sick, the reason that, the majority of our, the majority of the way we grow is based on epigenetics. It affects us more than our genetics. So our environment is affecting our epigenetic, I guess, evolution, even though I hate using that word, but not for that reason. Just for...
Chris, what I've heard this week a bunch was, I heard this from a couple different places. You go and listen to birds, and if everything is cool, their chatter between each other makes your whole internal, all the biorhythms and all that stuff mellow out. And then if they say talk another language, then you go, okay, there's danger around. But mostly it's chill. It's like a really great, hear a bunch of birds chirping. It's literal frequency. I'm talking in, like, you can measure this with science. This is not just hippie talk. You can gain health from and healing from chilling and listening to birds, just on the wave frequency on its own.
Totally true. Yeah, that when I go into that forest, that's the one thing I'm listening out for. Especially on like a sunny day. Because it does. It actually you can actually feel it positively affects you, especially if you've spent a long day, I don't know, editing basically looking at a blue screen, right? Either if I'm writing or editing a video, that has an effect. By the way, the reason, see, it's interesting, the blue screen as well, right? You also have the blue infinite lights that are showing up from ground zero too. Why blue? Well, the hue of blue, or sapphire, the gem of sapphire as well, that is actually described in Sanskrit. I forget the Sanskrit words now, but it's a composite of two Sanskrit words, and ultimately they translate to English as Saturn's color or Saturn's hue. So the blue is the color of Saturn. Why? Because it's the color of water, which is the watery illusion. This is this notion too. Ties into that.
So I got to write that down. Blue. I have to remember this, because I know, like, purple's Jupiter. I've known these things before, but it's I've seen a lot of blue popping up recently. Even last week, Chris we were talking about Snatch and the Catavan and the Catavans and Periwinkle Blue. So it's been like indirectly and directly around blue. So, and why did I not know that when hit up with Saturn? I don't know why.
I haven't heard blue with Saturn usually. Usually I hear like red or something like that.
I trust if Silas says it, I'm like, that's it.
Well, here, yeah, here.
I'm with it.
It's here. Shani Priya. So the gemstone associated with Saturn, the blue sapphire Neelam, is known as Shani Priya in Sanskrit, which literally translates to sacred to Saturn or precious to Shani, which is Saturn. The deep blue color is associated with Saturn. It represents the deep space and ether, Akash Tattva, that the planet rules. Also, of course, in the sort of, somebody mentioned Gnosticism, also relates to this notion of the watery illusion, right? Hence Capricorn, which is obviously associated with Saturn. But
which one's indigo? Which one's indigo? Or is that above all the wandering luminaries? They
What in
flipped they flipped the rainbow so for their propaganda, but when I see one in nature,
Yeah, it's upside down
yes,
on the flag.
yes. And I can't remember which one's indigo.
Well, red would be up at the bottom in the chakra system, and it's on the top, I believe, of the flag. Indigo, which is like that purple, is on the top usually, right?
Or is indigo a made up thing and it's just hippie talk?
Well, no,
Either
no,
way, I'm with it.
indigo, magenta. It's those types of colors.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like the magenta
Yeah.
pink, right?
Dude, I'm sorry. I'm not an interior decorator. I forget the certain colors, so yeah, okay, cool. Mhm.
Yeah, so it's
But Saturn's blue, and they do love blue. I mean, these people are pushing a lot of blue lately.
oh yeah. Well, remember Operation Bluebird. Is it Operation Bluebird or is it?
It is Operation Bluebird.
Yeah, that's the one. So
Mockingbird.
Mockingbird. Sorry, yeah, but there's a Bluebird one, isn't there as
There
well?
is a Bluebird.
Bluebeam.
I
You're
was
talking
just
about Project Bluebeam.
No,
Bluebeam as well is another one. Yeah.
Yeah.
there is Bluebird. I was just on it, the Wikipedia for it yesterday.
Operation Bluebird. Yeah.
It's probably Project Sapphire. Dude, I need let me grab
Bluebeam's
my
another one though, bro.
hat real fast.
Bluebeam's another one.
That's these Saturn people too. So blue is with the Saturn.
Well, somebody says I thought Saturn was associated with green. Well, it is also associated with green, but
there's crossover for sure.
It's a crossover. Well, the idea is again. We'll take Capricorn for example, right? The zodiacal symbol or sign of Capricorn. Also, the constellation art, which is this sort of chimera, which is a combination of two animals. Chimeras themselves, because they're neither of the one animal, right? Of course, it may be the lower half of a horse and the upper half of a man in terms of Sagittarius, the centaur. But the idea with that is that effectively it's trying to indicate semiologically, which means in terms of the study of symbolism, it's trying to indicate this idea of transition. So if we look at Capricorn is near as damn it to the end of the zodiacal cycle. If you move around that cycle, anti-clockwise, which is the general way it's meant to go. There's something I forget now. It's in the Secret Teachings of All Ages, but there's it starts with a W. It's not Wabbajack. I don't know why I'm thinking that's from the Elder Scrolls.
Are you talking about what are you talking about specifically?
Widdershins. So, well, for example, the zodiacal wheel goes anti-clockwise. That's known as Widdershins in symbolism, and then the clockwise way is diurnal. The idea is that one is of the night and one's of the day. We don't have to get into that, but with Capricorn, moving round anti-clockwise, this Widdershins way, this traditional way of the zodiacal wheel, it will reach that of Pisces and then go back to Aries. So Capricorn is near as damn it the end of the cycle. Why is it so important as a chimera? Well, because it's a sea goat. The bottom half is of Saturn. It's of the watery illusion of this world. Capricorn in general is of Saturn too. But the upper half is of the goat. So again, the goat can climb any vertical cliff face, any vertical mountain. So it can climb to heaven. This is the idea, right? So it can climb the fatal slope to heaven. And so it's of both worlds, similar to man himself, right? And then after Capricorn, right after, you have the water bearer, which is of the royal star of Fomalhaut. I believe it's also associated with Saturn in some systems. I believe it's Uranus primarily. Don't quote me on that. Somebody might be able to correct me there. But the idea is that is of man, formalized, crystallized as a sort of homo deus. This is the idea. But so as you can see there, man, or pardon me, Saturn is the ruler of the watery illusion, blue or the sapphire, actually in part rules Earth, because Earth is the watery illusion. Remember in Yod He Vahe, right, which is the four elements. Tetragrammaton is the four elements. If you read in the Zohar and the other exegetical commentaries in the Kabbalistic body of work, it states that Yod is the fire. In fact, you can actually take the letters and create a little man as well, a human being, because we are made in the image of the Father, right? And the Father is the four elements. So Yod is fire, that is the skull. And then, of course, we have the first He, which is water, that's of the arms. Then the Vav, which is the spine, that would be associated with, for example, the air. The first He of the arms is associated with water, the first feminine principle. Yod, of course, is the first is the fire, which is a masculine principle. And then, of course, we have the last He. So Yod He Vahe, that is the legs, and that is the second feminine principle of Earth. So water and earth are connected inextricably. The blue and the green are also inextricably connected in that sense. So this is why green and blue are both of Saturn fundamentally. So is black. So is black, because that is the deeper aspect of Saturn as well.
The black cube.
The black cube, yeah. It's a deeper aspect of him. The aspect that is in fact lesser manifested or is unmanifested.
Man, I had a whole presentation prepared,
I know you did. I know you did.
and it was related to the tribe of Dan, believe it or not. And that is related to the origins of like a lot of what is being said tonight. And then even the week before, I didn't get into that weave, Chris, deep in the Georgia and the devs thing and the divas. And that's where you get the Vedas. That's where you get the Davids, the Davidas, and I had, but this is great. This has been awesome. I can save it for later.
Unless you have anything that you want to quickly start and say.
There's nothing quick. It is like rewriting the entire history of everything. It would take 20 minutes. I don't want to get into it. I'm just saying, like, it is
the future, bro.
very distinct. It's just very related to. There's dots that connect with what has been said tonight. I'm glad to just be here. Silas, you've been crushing, bro. Keep going.
Crushing. Absolutely. And I did put Bluebird in the chat.
Yeah.
What it was. It was just part
Bluebird, which was MK Ultra. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it was all part of the same.
You also have Mockingbird as well. Yeah, and you, as you mentioned rightly, Ronin, Blue Beam. Yeah, absolutely. It's I mean, these people don't miss a trick. I mean, there's other things you can also mention with
Monarch.
There's so much. Monarch, yeah, that ties in with the chrysalis and also the perpetual cycle, similar to Athanasius Kircher's Mundus Subterraneus and what I call super tautological recursion, which is super tautology means it's tautology meaning true. Mm-hmm. So it's a super true cycle of recursion, which is effectively the Ouroboros, right? It's this thing which is both simultaneously pregnant with its own essence and it's self-cannibalizing. So this is the sort of paradoxical system that they've artificially created, right? They think they see it in the world. Arguably, perhaps they do, and then they've artificially generated like a one on Earth. Through it's basically civilization is the reality generator for the ruling class, and we are the cogs within it. In fact, we're not really even the cogs. We're now just the grease within the machine. But at one time we were the cogs.
I wonder. See, I always think there is a natural code to the natural realm, and they put an illusion in front of it to kind of hijack the power of the natural, because they can't produce. But at the same time, it's like use the code in a way where if you wish to, you're not totally anchored to this realm, and you Jacob's ladder your way out of here. You know, I'm torn between a few different ideologies. You know what I mean? Is this an exam, or is this like, caution factors and all that? You know, I'm always in the middle. Like, I'm not sure, but I have to rely on myself for that type of confirmation.
Have either of you guys looked into Hildeberg at all? Or Hildegard, I'm sorry.
You got to specify, Chris.
Hildegard of Bingen, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably have. Yeah, I probably have.
Yeah, there's some interesting stuff there that's relates to cryptology. That's why I think Ronin, you might like him, but also gets into demonology and the whole sort of control grid of and chaos magic, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Just something, a name I thought I'd throw out there because I'm not too familiar with him yet, but he was coming across my my feed a few times in the last few weeks, and he seems interesting.
Isn't it a female?
I don't think so. There might be a female he was working with, though.
All right, maybe.
Oh, I would totally marry a Viking chick from Norway, like a 6 foot Viking chick. Let's procreate. Yo, guys, I think we should wrap it up because I think we shared enough rants. Enough. You can only handle so much amazing.
Actually, Hildegard might have been a woman. Now I'm thinking I might be thinking of the other individual that they were writing with. I don't know. I have to see. This is why I shouldn't say anything.
Well, we'll need to maybe we'll have to do a bit of sort of ancient transvestigation on that one. We'll have to determine the gender. We'll have to assign gender.
Oh, okay.
Gender.
No. It had to be a woman. Yeah. No. Hildegard of Bingen was also known as the Sibyl of Rhine. So
Sibyl of Rhine. Yeah.
For some reason, the Catholic Church let the female come in and basically teach the entire church about exorcism, which seems freaking intense. Now I'm remembering. But there's someone else she's associated with too who took her work and like expanded it. And I'm trying to remember who it was. Mm-hmm. This was a lot of information for me for like one thing that I watched.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. Right, guys. I think I'm going to head off anyway.
Yeah, brother. We appreciate you coming.
Yeah, bro. It's no problem. I always appreciate you guys. I mean, we always have superb conversations here.
Always a good time. Ronin, thank you.
Yeah, man. Silas, you dominated so hard. That was awesome. You crushed. I learned a lot.
Well, thank you, man. Thanks. No, I do. Don't mind cutting me off, anyone, because seriously, I will talk forever on these things. So, literally, this is things I like to talk about. So don't worry about. I'll always yield to you. I have that sort of upstanding British politeness. It was sort of It was instilled into me from a very young age to be very polite and to yield. So I will yield.
He will yield.
I will yield.
He respects his elders, He respects all of us who are. Silas, man, you're the man, bro.
I told someone recently I was 707 years old,
Well, you are both of
and they were like, "Man, you look good for your age, man."
our
I'm like,
elders,
"Yeah."
right? You're for me and Silas, you're a little slightly older than me, I think.
Nah,
It's
I mean,
it's
yeah.
electrolytes, bro. You just gotta keep those.
Shit,
You know,
I mean, biological age, who
I mean,
knows?
electrolytes. That's just,
yeah.
Who knows biologically?
Yep.
but yo, I'm so like blessed and honored Chris. You're awesome, yo. I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you, bro.
You know, putting like a real. I think Silas. I don't know where Silas finds the time, but putting together an actual presentation of something that takes hours. You know,
He's a machine. Silas is a machine.
Silas is
He's very gifted.
So
I don't know how he does it either, but he's my Scottish brother, and I appreciate him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Brother from another mother. Brother
Yeah.
from another continent.
Yeah.
You gotta come to America, bro. Dude, Silas, I'll show you a good time down here in Georgia, man. Straight up, dude. We got rivers. You can four wheel. You can shoot. You can have good food. It's
Or you can just come out to California.
Well, what I'll do is
bro, they're gonna
I'll
try
I'll head to Georgia, then I'll jump on the Greyhound bus and head to Los Angeles afterwards.
There's dopeness all across the land, man.
Yeah, no, there is, honestly.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, man. Yeah. It's I'll need to head over to the US one time.
You got allies over here, bro. You come to the US, you got if you
I need to. Well, I'm
North,
Scottish. I'm Scottish, so I need to come see one of my homelands.
if
well, there you go. Yeah, you should come over to Edinburgh or
be
something, bro.
comfortable.
Yeah, I need to come see where I'm from.
Yeah, just head over to. Well, Ronin, you're like the East Coast. You're Georgia, so I'm sure you could easily just get head to the airport, wherever the airport is. It's not like Savannah, is it? You'll have an international airport there, and just head over to Edinburgh. There you go. I'll have an iron brew waiting for you, and haggis, neeps, and tatties as well.
They'll never let
Iron
us
brew in
out.
one hand, and
They'll keep us there, Ron. They'll never let us out.
My problem with the aisles is they have. I don't like the way they drive, man. It's on the other side. I gotta figure out different. I'm sitting on. I don't like the driving situation. I like to drive myself around.
well, funny story before you guys go. There's the motorway, or the highway, as you guys would call it, just down from me. Literally the slip road down from me. There was some guy driving on the wrong side of the road, and he like wiped out a couple of people. But yeah, I don't know. I actually haven't found out who the guy was, but there's a very good chance that he was, he was maybe American. No, I'm joking. But he was driving like an American.
I'm sure he was Australian or from New Zealand or somewhere.
I'm hoping that because America's bigger than those places, so I don't want to anger the Americans. There's 350 million there. There's less.
So
there's
they
less
say.
Australians and New Zealanders. So they say, yeah. So they say. All right,
All right,
right,
let's get
guys.
out of here.
Guys,
Right,
I'm gonna play a song. I played it before, but it's a cool song. You don't feel obligated to stick around. The chat has been crushing. People think I'm awesome, which is always fun for me. Thank you, Machete. Yes. And everyone else is awesome, man. I mean, this is the most undervalued YouTube channel out there, dog. The chat's amazing and powerful. Chris is awesome. I've been enjoying it myself, sitting back as a fan. Silas is amazing. Silas' channel is amazing. Totally. Legends. Let's get out of here. One last thing, Chris.
Yes, sir.
Well, let's go Silas, and then Chris, you have the final word, and we're out. And it's massive love and gratitude. Bye. There we go.
Oh, me first. Well, just thank you, everyone, and I hope wherever you are, you have a fabulous day, or a good evening, or you sleep well and put down the phone. Don't do what I'm doing and stay up to now 4 o'clock, half 4 in the
man.
morning. So
Yeah. Sorry about that, brother. Bad influence on my
No,
my younger brother in
no.
Scotland, getting him stay up so late.
It's not your fault. It's the South American yerba mate. I've just
Oh,
started
I
it.
drink,
so
dude.
I'm-
I drink that I drink it every day.
Oh,
It's
Chris
insane,
is a
right?
bad influence. Chris is a bad influence.
as we say in Scotland, I've been bouncing about the place, you know. So anyway,
Get some
guys,
sleep. Get
yeah.
some sleep.
I'm gonna head off.
Yeah,
Right,
thank you
bye-bye,
for
guys.
thanks for coming, brother. And Ronan, thanks for having us. Everyone, thanks for watching. And we will all be back with you in a week, I'm sure.
Yeah. All one, it's all connected from the hells to heavens. Got that angelic essence, very deep in my message. Keep this like a lesson. All this taught my expression. So gifted with guidance when the mental is quiet. Meditating for the love, hear the beauty in silence. New patterns in my life, manifested while writing. Magician with the pen, that's right. I hold the power to create my life. When the forecast looking rainy, just remember that the pen be hard. Lessons make me stronger, balancing out all this calm and know the light gon' take me farther. Yeah, got me reaching to the solar. This little life of mine, infinite space and time. Watch how you move, what will you do with it, yeah. This little life of mine, infinite space and time. Watch how you move, what will you do with it, yeah.
Got it by the light, connected to the mic, it was destined. Divine timing, gotta learn your lesson, don't block your blessing. I'm tired of stressing, since an adolescent, had pride. Die for nothing to strive, made the best out this life. We was young, growing up, feel a love and birth the son. To get the life, I give you insight when I write these lyrics. The spirit is in them, a splitting image, a mirror. No idea is original, I'm fearing nothing but God. Feel less about your appearance, what's in your heart. The game is fucked up, and I don't play much, but I know my part. Living with guilt and broken heart, resilient. There's only one life to live, and I know my lineage. Twisting fingers like I'm banging, like my slip and spill my pain here. Staying clear of the snakes, setting boundaries. Gotta do what it takes, keep love around me. If I knew what I knew then, I'd probably be the same me. On the app, flipping weight with the same team. And every day will be the same thing. If you don't take the steps, get out your own way. Love in abundance, I'm all in, that's all day. I'm going 30 for 30, LeBron James. And where I'm from, they pack heat the size of Tory Lane. I'm grateful for where I've been, but I'm ready for a new change. It's been the time and space. Feel my aura when I speak it like. Space and time. Watch how you move, what will you do with it, yeah. This little life of mine, infinite space and time. Watch how